it really seems like the talent pool in obviously college, but I would say maybe even in USL too as well seems to really be increasing.
Yeah, and I think that, I know that this is the case everywhere because we always talk about the fact that, soccer is the most played sport by young people in the entire country. Um, you know, but New England, we've been around. We're the new England. It's they've been doing this for a long, long time. New England has like all of these great cultural connections to the United Kingdom, to, all of these amazing immigrant communities from Portugal, from Africa, from all over the world who have been coming to, these big port cities, Portland, Maine, Boston, Portsmouth, the list goes on. And, there is really a culture of soccer that's always kind of been, you know, bubbling away down there that it's just taken a while for it, I think, to, kind of fully come to life. For years, not to denigrate the Revs, but for years, like the Revolution was the only ticket in town, unless you wanted to go and, watch the PDL or, more recently, it's now the USL too. But, I just think that the USL has done a really good job of going and bringing in, you know, Hartford, uh, and RIFC and, obviously the Hearts of Pine, as just different ways for these small communities to go and get together behind their team. I was on, the Mozos podcast for the Lubbock Matadors, last week, and we were joking about the fact that you can drive, 5 hours east or west in Lubbock, Texas, or from Lubbock, Texas, and still be in Texas with a ways to go. But that's not the case in New England. You drive 2 hours north, you're in Montreal from Burlington anyway. 3.5 hours south, you're in Boston. 5 hours farther south, you're in New York City. 4 hours, you're in Portsmouth. And each of these states has, their own culture, their own communities. It's very, very different in all of the different New England states. And maybe this is me being an elitist New Englander. I think there's a lot more difference between all of the New England states than there might be between, the Dakotas. So
Yeah, we can be East Coast elites, Tyson. New England is far superior than anywhere else in the United States, so we can definitely do that. And to that point, I also want to touch upon. I remember talking to Chris Wilson from talking USL to you, and he's down in Louisiana, and he can. I think the closest soccer team is like 3 hours away from him. Luckily, in New England, there is that ability. I can drive. For me, up in the northeast of Massachusetts. I can drive up to Portland, Hearts of Pine. That's about an hour away. I'll drive to Vermont, even though it's 4 hours. But, for those people up in New Hampshire and Maine, it's a lot closer. To the south, you have Rhode Island FC and Hartford, and obviously the Revs as well, too, in Massachusetts. But it really is a great development that New England's really delved deep into soccer. And Vermont Greens obviously I would say played a large role in that. And I think, kind of spurned some maybe more investment into the area.